2015's Princess Cut is a religious romance film about one woman's journey to get the wedding ring she's been dreaming of, all while the conflicting pressures of her shame-based upbringing send her spiraling into an existential crisis. I didn't say it was a comedy. I just thought my lighthearted inflection might make the plot seem a little less sad. Her little brother gets hit by a car! See, it's not working. Still a pretty harrowing tale, no matter how you look at it. So grab your favorite book of Genesis and let's blast off in my magic Jesus mobile for the painfully sexist and backwards tale of one flavorless farm family and their symbolic soybeans, two annoying as hell romantic love interests, and the little princess at the center of it all who is finally learning to think for herself about the topics that her father has determined to be acceptable. Like I said, this is not a lighthearted film, and yet I think we can still wring a few laughs and lessons out of this terribly written, produced, and edited religious experience. So cross your heart and wear your helmet for another conservative Christian installment of Clip Breakdown. As we'll see, this movie has some peculiar ideas about therapy and mental health, which is a topic that's really important to discuss, especially now since May is Mental Health Awareness Month, which is why I'm so proud to be partnering with Cerebral for today's video. Cerebral is an online mental health service that provides access to medication management, counseling, coaching, and therapy for anxiety, depression, insomnia, and other conditions, all for a low, flat monthly rate. Treatment for ADHD, bipolar, and PTSD are available in certain states. I recently chatted with my Cerebral prescriber who was so helpful opening my eyes to new information about different treatment options. I personally love the convenience of accessing mental health care online at a time that's convenient for you, and Cerebral offers 3 convenient plans tailored to what your particular needs might be, and I love that in between sessions I'm able to access my care team and message them really conveniently. If you've experienced a big life event or are going through a particularly stressful time, therapy might be helpful to you, which is why I love that Cerebral is affordable with or without insurance. Some plan options and instant live visits are only available in certain states and locations. You can answer just a few simple questions and find the plan that's right for you. To celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month, your first month of medication and care counseling starts at only $30. If you'd like to take the next step in working on your mental health, click the link in my description to start the questionnaire and get connected with your care team right away. Thanks Cerebral for sponsoring. Hello television viewers, my name is Nick. Thank you so much for joining me once again on my channel for another installment of Clip Breakdown. This is the playlist where we dive into our favorite movies, TV movies, and other such content on the web, Mac Hey Frenchie, and we break them down like, I don't know, a soybean farm machine that's broken. There's a broken down tractor at the center of this movie, so let's go with that. We look at the clips and decide if the movie sucks or not, and they usually do, because that's where I'm living. But before we get into it, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see even more religious movie breakdowns like this. This one was suggested to me via TikTok. There's some TikTok movie reviewers talking about this one. That process seems a lot quicker. I'm jealous. Making a TikTok about a movie? Mwah! Actually, no, I'm too long-winded. Anyway, click subscribe if you want to see even more videos from me, 2 every week. This movie starts with a confusing prologue that shows a character, we have no idea who he is, burying something near a tree, which weirdly is like identical to the opening scene of the Britney Spears movie Crossroads. This movie cannot compare. This movie cannot compare. Wow, what is that guy going through that would cause him to forcefully plunge some fashion jewelry into that freshly dug toilet hole? I guess it could also just be a regular hole since they look more or less identical, which is how I got in trouble on that construction site. I highly doubt a little human waste compromised the entire foundation of that new war memorial. I can already tell that this guy's acting reel is mostly home videos of him in school plays, because why did he put that ring from Macy's in a hole as though he were plunging a stake through the heart of Dracula? I'm just saying, if the actor were directed to think a little bit more like his character, it might not have looked so aggressive. That ring turns out to be a treasured Fairly heirloom and not a cursed talisman that he picked up at an archaeological site. So I'm not sure why we have this frightening beginning, but you just wait. The horrors are yet to come. please tell me that the Oscars have an untelevised award for shakiest opening shot of unattractive looking velvet nubs? Personally, I would have avoided any handheld shots if my camera operator were a senior chihuahua who's always cold. Even this particular shot could have been smoother if they had used a commonly found warp stabilizing effect, but this whole opening sequence could have been better if they had put any creative energy into it. We're supposed to fade out from the title card princess cut and then into actual princess cut diamond rings. Diamond rings. Because that is the character's ultimate desire at the start of the movie. So maybe give us some, I don't know, good looking shots of the jewelry without fluorescent lighting glaring off those visible price tags. This is like one of the only places where a montage actually helps get us into the mindset of the character and eases us into the initial setting of the film. They could have opened on glamorous macro shots of diamonds glistening, beautiful close-ups of rings being tried on delicate hands, or like jewelry getting perfectly wrapped up by white-gloved service people. And then we can kind of pull back to show that these are all the happenings within the jewelry store that our main character Grace is window shopping at. Oh yeah, it's another Christian movie where the main character's name is Grace. Let's get a little more creative, churchy writers. There are so many other pretty words in the Bible that can be used as women's names, such as Leviathan or gluttony. I kind of think of the Gary Marshall movies, Princess Diaries, Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve. He was always using these glamorous close-ups to world build, and frankly, that type of romantic filmmaking could have been used in this romance film if they wanted, but you know. No talent behind the camera. Not that it's overflowing in front of the lens either, but we'll get there. Oh, my nails are brittle since I have vitamin deficiencies. I don't know if that's true. I diagnosed myself with a lot of shit. Anyway, we pull back and we finally see our character Grace being like, how much is that one? Oh, it's $16,000. Remember the face of this jewelry store employee? I guess you have to. So she and her friend Tessa leave the store, and basically Tessa's like, look at that guy. And Grace is like, you know I can't, I have a boyfriend. And she reveals she's been with this guy for 15 months and she thinks he's gonna propose tonight. So it kind of gives you that beginning of Legally Blonde feel. Nothing super unique in terms of plot devices so far. Grace goes home and we get to meet her lovely Christian family.
You would not believe the rock I saw today. A full carat. Princess cut.
Do you really think your mom would have a hard time believing that you saw a 1 carat diamond ring at the K Jewelers down the street? By the way, you gotta find something better to do with your time than think about and go look at diamond rings as though they're dogs at a mall pet store in the late 90s. Grace is always dreaming about that specific princess cut diamond in her head, which is a little disappointing in terms of how it reinforces the stereotype that women are all about that rock, honey. Especially since, other than that, this character is the perfect example of Christian temperance. Ooh, that's another good potential name from the Bible. In fact, I'm calling dibs. I'm officially changing my name to Temperance J. Skull. Grace talks about her interior design class at college, which never plays an important role in the movie. Why not make her like an art history student who's fascinated by royal artifacts and the extravagant jewelry from that time period? That way this opening scene could have taken place at like a museum where she's studying the first princess cut ring in existence. And then it might actually make sense for her to be describing something unbelievable to her mom, since it's actually unique. She could be like, Mom, you wouldn't believe the clarity on this gemstone, dating all the way back to 1542, originally belonging to Princess Temperance J. Skull. Oh, you didn't know? I'm the ghost of Princess Skull. Boo. While Grace is picking out an outfit for this dinner where she hopes to get engaged, it comes out that she's been going out with this guy while he's away at college, so they haven't spent time together for 2 semesters. And the mom seems to kind of doubt the longevity of this relationship. She's not sure about it. Grace's mom sends her out to get her dad for dinner, where they're talking about their current seasons of crops.
Pesky groundhogs.
How's it going?
See for yourself.
Well, we could always move closer to Raleigh, fewer pests, and a lot closer to Stewart.
Oh yeah, great idea. Let me just sell this farm and pack up the whole family so that we all have to live closer to this guy whose you haven't even touched yet. But first, we have to stone you to death for witchcraft because you said most of that sentence without moving your mouth. And I guess we'll take her word for it that there are fewer groundhogs closer to Raleigh, because I guess she's wandering the fields every night, taking a census. The dad reminds her here that this farm has been in the family for 3 generations, and this could be like an opportunity to set up what her lesson is going to be, the importance of passing things down over generations, but they don't give her that type of character development, okay? It's all about the ring, we already said it. This dad is really sold to us as a very wise character. I'm not sure the dialogue fully lives up to that.
Well, you'd be surprised what you could learn about love from a soybean.
Like what? Name one thing. The dad is forever alluding to how life is like his precious beans, but then he never offers up a single soy-based love lesson throughout the entire movie. I think at one point he's like, growing up is like a soybean because God plants ideas in you and then they grow over time. Okay, well that's actually how most seeds work. So your soybeans aren't special. Why do you look like Pete Buttigieg if he never used skincare? Oh, so that other young man is the brother, the older younger brother. There's also the younger brother. Their names are Robert and Drew, and you can tell by this family dinner that they're a real close-knit bunch. Definitely to the point of a fault.
Remember what I told you?
Dad, it's Stuart. Don't worry, if he tries to touch me, I'll just punch him in the nose.
And then he'll probably strangle you to death in his car. Ah, that age-old story of boy meets girl. All right, have a great night, sweetie. Also, I don't really remember what he told her earlier. The soybean thing? Damn, he must really care about her estrogen levels ahead of child rearing. Or is this guy really sitting at the dinner table in front of everybody and reminding his daughter that he doesn't want her to get railed before marriage? Because that's a little weird. Why don't you just sit there and eat your pot roast, Dad, and don't worry about how many dicks I decide to ride at the roller rink. Not your biz. Ugh. Just when we thought Stuart was the one, we get this troubling news.
Where is he? I got it. Hello?
Hello, little boy. Why did we just hear the sound effects of a rotary landline for what is clearly a red iPhone? The script obviously wanted this call to come in on a shared home phone, which is a thing that used to exist. But I guess nobody had the time and or budget to run to Target and pick up a cordless handset, so this made sense. Great attention to detail from the props department, which just consisted of whatever household items were already at the location. Stuart is telling her, hey, come meet us at the restaurant. I'm with friends. And she's like, I'm not getting picked up with a chivalrous man opening the door for me. And the parents are like, girl, you better murder that son of a bitch. And when she gets to the restaurant, none of this night is going how she planned. To the point where it's like, she must have been going through this long distance relationship with a blindfold.
This one right here.
Stuart. I thought you had something special you wanted to tell me.
Listen up, everyone. We were engaged. Congratulations!
I'm not too surprised that Grace so seriously misjudged the state of her relationship. After all, we're talking about the woman who thought this Freddy Krueger turtleneck dress was a good outfit for her proposal. Like, sweetheart, we all feel embarrassed for you. He chose a girl with a 2009 poof in her hair over you? That was out of fashion by 2015, I'm quite sure. I mean, I've never been to North Carolina. They might still be catching up. We'll find out. Anyway, your boyfriend is already having a burping contest with his new fiancée in a 50s diner, and you're standing there dressed like the front desk attendant at a law firm. This is truly a nightmare on Elm Street. Wes Craven's new nightmare. Obviously, Grace runs home and cries to her mom about how heartbroken she is, and the younger brother overhears this and gets up to a little plan of his own at his dad's desk. And then the mom is like, come play game night with us, you'll feel better. I'd be like, literally no.
I'm Stuart and I'm losing at the game of life.
Drew, cut it out. Ah, more delicious cookies.
That's me when I click accept all on those pop-ups that every website has now. They're like, click here if it's okay for us to sell your email address and spending habits to Russia. And I'm like, cookies, yum. I'm just gonna say it. The child actor is giving a very self-conscious performance as the annoying little brother, which ironically makes him come off even more annoying, only in a way that is distracting and takes me out of the movie. You know, this riveting storyline about a woman playing board board games with her very bland family. These are the kind of people that the CIA wishes all of us were. God-fearing, loyal Americans who limit their energy consumption at night, as well as exposure to ideas that provide a challenging worldview. I love how Grace was like, I just got broken up with by the guy who I thought was going to marry me, so I just want to spend some time alone. And her mom was like, how about you sit the down and play a board game about love and marriage instead. That's way harsh, Christian mom, and I'm not just talking about your sallow looking makeup job. The family does not have a single unique or interesting character in it at all. Like, the little brother is just generic little brother. The older brother is just generic supporting older brother. Like, why don't they have any memorable traits or things that make this family seem at least a little bit worthy of writing an entire movie about? Grace's parents are a little worried that she's so distraught about finding the man she's gonna spend the rest of her life with. So the dad is in his room later, his study, I guess, and after talking with his wife briefly about some financial trouble they're facing at the farm because of this broken kind of harvesting equipment that they can't get to start, he also talks about how he's been reading up on his daughter's problem.
Fathers give their daughters in marriage.
So what are you saying?
Who am I going to give our daughter to?
I vote you give her to state custody because you're treating her more like an object than a human being with free will. It's cool how dad's about to foreclose on the entire farm because of one broken tractor, but he's spending all his free time studying up on how to bring back a trusty blacksmith from the 1800s to court his daughter. And then once dad picks up the newspaper, he realizes what that youngest son was up to.
Did you write this? Pretty girl, makes great mac and cheese. We need a good man to come and get her.
Honestly, that's only slightly different language than you used to describe the situation to your wife a minute ago. Don't go teaching your sons that it's their manly duty to give their daughters away, and then act all surprised when big sister ends up for sale on the Facebook Marketplace. That's on you, sicko. Also, please notice how the men in this family never wear anything besides for a solid colored t-shirt with an unbuttoned plaid shirt over it. I get it, I've talked about it before, that is peak fashion for people who are culturally 2 decades behind. We go into this, I guess, plucky comedy for the first act montage, where a bunch of, let's say incompatible suitors show up and ask for Grace's hand, and the dad is like, no way, not you. When I'm just like, okay, your son really doxed the whole family by putting your full address in the newspaper.
Hi, is it here? I mean, is she here? I mean, I'm here for the macaroni and cheese. And the girl that he's taken away.
When this guy came on the screen, I actually ran to a neighbor's house screaming for help, like Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween. So good casting, I guess. I don't know if they gave him that thirsty looking Farrah Fawcett blowout, or if that's just how he showed up on set, but it's really helping to make him seem like an actual weirdo who would show up to your house to abduct some lady. We then get a brief scene where this woman is like, I'm looking for a recent graduate from medical school, Clint Masters, which is the name of the guy we saw in the opening scenes buying the house across from the Anderson family. So already this is a little out of order for me. Like, Clint was the guy we saw burying the ring in the first scene, then buying the house, and now this woman's looking at her and I'm like, I don't even know who he is yet or why I should care. Now this blonde lady's in the mix holding the phone weirdly. I can't handle it. Oblivious to all of the strange men knocking down her door, Grace is hanging out at her favorite coffee shop with her favorite mean friend.
Guess who?
Farmer girl.
How did you even know it was me?
Because I can smell the cow shit under your fingernails, Grace. This secular bestie named Tessa is played almost completely unlikable throughout the entire movie. When it comes to Grace and her religious beliefs, Tessa is almost always petty, dismissive, or manipulative, which I believe is true of all women who aren't reading the Bible by candlelight every evening until their husband returns from the Great War. You better be living like Betsy goddamn Ross if you want to get any credit in Grace's household, I'm telling you. Maybe there really are parts of the country where Christianity is still a widespread society thing. Like, this takes place in Carolina. If I met my new neighbor and they said, what church do you go to? I would literally laugh them off the property. And not just because I'm addicted to nitrous oxide and try to offer it to all of my guests. Although frankly, it makes tea parties a lot more fun. I'm just kidding, don't do drugs. Confusingly, the barista at the coffee shop is the same guy who was the jewelry salesperson at the jewelry store. I don't know why this to me felt like a weird thing where they only had the jewelry store one day and they couldn't shoot there again. Or perhaps they couldn't figure out a way to get Grace back in the jewelry store to see him again. Either way, he's like, I quit that job shortly after meeting you, and I love it working here so much better. I'm like, just make that first guy, don't even have him in there the first time. It's confusing. Why are you changing things for no reason when there's already like 13,000 Caucasian people with brown hair to keep track of in this movie? I keep thinking everyone is me. All white people, we all look alike. Look, I look just like them. I love Jesus, and I hope he kills me one day so I can sit on his lap of luxury in the kingdom of heaven.
I've stood behind that counter and watched people fall in love over coffee.
How many people have you watched fall in love during the 1 week since you started working here? I worked at a Dunkin' Donuts for a total of 12 months, and the only people I saw falling over coffee were the elderly customers when I forgot to put out a wet floor sign. I'd be like, legally I'm not allowed to come help you up, but if you get thirsty, let me know and I can squirt some caramel sauce into your open mouth. I'm immediately put off by this guy. What is his goddamn name? Jared Cunningham. I'm immediately put off by him because Grace is like, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. And he continues to follow her out of his own place of business to her car. If you follow me to my car after I've told you 3 times to stay away, it's pepper spray on your eyeballs. But she is charmed by his persistence, something they always tell women to feel in movies. So like, I hate that. Don't make it seem normal for a woman to ignore her instincts. Oh, he asked 3 annoying times, so it must not be assault. Like, what? But she gives the number. And now, to be good Christian neighbors, the whole Anderson family goes across the street to meet the new guy next door, Clint.
Jim Anderson.
Clint Masters.
Good to meet you, Clint. This is my wife, Catherine.
Oh, this is my favorite. Thank you so much.
Oh boy, if he can identify his favorite type of pie by smell alone, then he's definitely gonna be able to tell when I'm on my period. I don't menstruate. I'm referring to the period of time each night when my bed sores start weeping. Everything in this movie feels so unnatural. Those 2 men didn't even greet each other when the door opened. Clint just instantly stated his full name as though those were officers doing a parole check. The family's like, so what do you do, Clint? Tell us everything. And he's like, I just graduated doctor school.
Looks so young to be practicing medicine.
I guess school hasn't taken its toll then. Believe it or not, I'm 28.
I believe it, or not. Just because you gave yourself the same child actor center part as that kid from Small Soldiers does not mean you look younger than 28. I'm not saying this actor, Joseph Gray, looks older than that, but I am saying I can't confirm that because he seems to have kept his real birth year off the internet throughout his entire career. That's the suspicious behavior of someone who doesn't want casting directors to know they were born in the 80s. But anyway, apparently you can't even put an offer in on a house in this neighborhood without being a card-carrying Christian with a cross up your ass.
I don't know if you've had time to find a good church home yet, but you're more than welcome to join us.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But I actually already worship at the altar of sucking dick and cock. So if you have any references for that, just forward them to my Gmail.
Sucking dick and cock.
For the record, to me, a good church home is one that holds its bake sales out on the front sidewalk, so I don't actually have to enter the building. I do not want any awkward run-ins with some priest who I met on Grindr one time, and then have to make awkward small talk about why I stole from him. Grace manages to open the door on one more kooky suitor from the newspaper ad, and she runs after that little brother of hers. Oh, and they have a good fun ribbon. A good fun ribbing. I don't know what am I even? These Christian movies make me say weird things because they're always like, he has risen up in through the sky and will give unto you everything that you shall wanted. Mom, I have depression. Stop talking like Darth Vader. But yeah, the dad is constantly trying to counsel Grace on her boy troubles, which I'm like, let's get some boundaries going. Some Christian boundaries, Dad.
Where's Grace? We were having a nice little conversation.
Oh, she's chasing after Drew.
That might take a while. I'll be in the barn.
Yeah, you better take yourself out to the barn. See if you can use a belt sander to soften that makeup line on your chin there, Pops. They said, for him, let's go with a creamy ivory shade of foundation and make sure it's a hard stop once you get to the jowls. I don't want to blend anything onto his neck until we've had a chance to test how the makeup sits on an old leather duffel bag. The dad is out in the barn and he gets approached by this greasy looking real estate agent who makes a big offer on the land. And the dad is like, no, 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 this is not for sale. Now you get. Tractor won't start. Lawyer, the real estate guy is like, you just give me a call if you change your mind. The whole problem is they can't get the parts in to fix this tractor in time to harvest the soybeans this year, which seems like not that big of an issue. If your whole business is farming, surely there's a bank willing to give you the loan to fix your tractor or hire the labor to otherwise harvest. Like, what? You're gonna have to sell the whole farm because of one piece of equipment? Something seems fishy about that business model. Anyway, the coffee shop guy shows up at Grace's house, and I guess this is the payoff. Like, she's been answering the door to all of these unsuitable suitors, and now it's, oh, something different. A man with long hair that uses herbal essences.
How did you find me?
Ever heard of the internet?
Being used as a tool to stalk women? Yeah, I think I have actually heard about that in a few of the more recent episodes of Dateline about pretty girls getting killed. But right at the beginning at least, Jared does seem to be making an effort to please the traditional parents of Grace. He introduces himself to the father, he's like, I'd like to take your daughter out for a shake. It's like, ugh. God, I hate you. But they do it. They have their milkshake, and it's a whole montage. A montage with actual technical editing glitches in it. Ugh. Don't worry, my children. That errant black flash frame in the middle of the milkshake montage was actually a part of God's plan. So there, we deserve awards for this now. How many people watched this movie before you exported the final cut that no one caught that? No? Okay. But there are some fun romantic moments, like getting caught in the rain. Oof, okay, maybe it's a good thing she hasn't slept with this guy, because I don't think I could ever develop an attraction to someone after seeing them wave their arms around in the rain like Kermit the Frog. As soon as the thunder started and he was like, whoa, whoa, get to the car, I would be like, God, please tell me you sent this storm to signify the end of days. Once the couple are in the car, Jared goes in for a kiss, which, is not the game Grace tries to play.
Wait.
What?
Not till you put a ring on it. Princess cut.
Girl, it's the 21st century. Nobody should have to buy you a wedding ring only to find out that you have the rough sandpaper tongue of a stray cat. Also, doesn't it seem like sort of a tired trope and oddly materialistic for this character to be so ring obsessed? Not to put a ring on it, princess cut. It comes off a little entitled. She said, my last boyfriend proposed to me with a marquee cut diamond. So I said yes, but then threw myself down the stairs on the night before our wedding. You know, princess things. Okay, and so then I had to Uber Eats candy. I just decided I needed Twizzlers pull and peel. So he's like, don't worry, my roommate's always home playing video games. For a second, I thought, oh my God, she's gonna go in and the roommate's gonna be the guy Clint, but that doesn't make sense because they live in different houses. Either way, we don't see what happens when he convinces her to go in the house, but she leaves her phone in the car and the family has no idea where she is during this rainstorm. I get that they're close, but she's 20 years old and it's just raining outside. They're acting like she's been kidnapped by drug smugglers. It seems really unusual to me that we don't see what happens after she goes in. It makes it seem like something really serious happened, but we still don't know. She won't even tell her best friend Tessa.
Hey, what's up? How'd it go?
For the first time in my life, I'm not sure what to do.
Why, did he force himself on you?
Oh my God, Tessa, why would you ask that like it's not even a big deal? This movie is really subtle about letting us know that without a strong church home, college-aged women are more or less the Antichrist, doing all sorts of ungodly things like wearing shorts or mixing iced tea with lemonade. Oh, so, Tessa is like, oh, maybe you should see my mom's therapist. What do you have to lose? The first session is free. I'm like, in which healthcare system are we we giving away free therapy sessions to people? I'm curious. Obviously, I'm really excited to see what a movie like this has to say about people who get therapy. And we're off to a bad start as soon as Grace walks into the office and it's all a little woo woo woo, if you know what I mean. And Grace is not exactly picking up the advice that her therapist is putting down.
It's time to try a starter marriage. A trial run of sorts, not where you hope to end up.
Okay, well that literally doesn't make sense, Mrs. Therapist, because as everyone knows, getting married means taking the person I was before I met my husband and watching her get executed by firing squad in front of all my friends and family. Otherwise, how will Jesus know that I'm under new ownership? I'm not sure what school of therapy has this counselor suggesting a loveless marriage as a solution to their client, but I like where this idea was probably headed before it got convoluted by Christians into this kooky caricature that honestly seems like it was meant to dissuade Christians from thinking actual therapy could be of any help to them. Here's a new way of thinking of it, Grace. You should break up with this guy if he makes you uncomfortable. But even if you wanted to marry him, that would be a reversible decision. So please stop stressing so much about how to impress the Lord, your dad, because guess what? There might not even be a God. And even if there is, he probably doesn't care about little things like who's gonna be paying for your chocolate malted at the sock hop. Let's grow the f up, everybody. A lot of us can babysit ourselves. This mounting tension over Grace's romantic future is clearly being a little bit of a stressor for her, because as soon as that little brother messes up her interior design project, she snaps. Very un-Christ-like for a woman to raise her voice. We're just saying.
Sometimes I wish you weren't even my brother.
I didn't see him.
Wow, that argument escalated quickly. I gotta be honest, I had a little bit of hope for this movie when I thought it was gonna make a sudden tonal shift and become a whodunit where Grace tries to solve the mystery of who killed little Johnny in that hit and run. But of course, Dr. Clint comes running to the rescue with his first aid kit and doesn't tell anyone to call 911. Like, thanks so much for running over here with your igloo cooler. Does it contain an emergency blood transfusion and a CAT scan? Grace is all shaken up that her brother could have gotten hurt running away from her after being like, you. She would have been guilty for the rest of her life. Where's your God now with your dead brother?
It's fine.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he seems fine.
Praise God.
Looks like the bike took the worst of it. Drove here, just took a tumble.
I feel like you could say a lot of pedestrians took a tumble after getting hit by pickup trucks. And that's why we like to check their brain for damage afterwards. Clint said, nope, everything looks good. As you can see, the bike acted as a sort of car-proof vest of sorts. Just take this young man home for a 10 to 18 hour nap, and after that we can just see if he starts to act more aggressive over time. Grace is completely overcome by emotion because of this close call, and honestly, she's at her breaking point.
Grace? Is that you? Are you and Drew okay?
He'll be fine.
I mean, he did get hit by a car though. When your mom eventually finds out what happened, she's gonna find it really weird that you neglected that part of the story. That's why they're not getting the cops involved. There's gas station security footage of Grace pushing Johnny under that truck. Sorry, the character's name is actually Drew, but I keep forgetting because to me, the child died in that car accident. And that's the inciting incident for an alternative movie that I'll be watching in my head while this one plays out in reality. Grace's mom goes up to check on her and Grace tells her everything that's been on her mind, which I guess sounds a little crazy when you sum it all up.
And he kissed me, and he wouldn't stop. I talked to her mom's therapist. She said I need to start her marriage.
That poor mother looks so confused right now. I don't think she was prepared to realize the religious trauma that her parents passed down to her would continue to have a negative impact for generations to come. She's like, I was just coming to tell you that dinner's ready. Nobody should have to put up with unwanted physical contact. But maybe don't give up on finding a therapist just because your friend's mom's friend turned out to be a weirdo.
Why does love have to be so complicated?
I think your father may have some answers.
or at least some very strong opinions on how special you are as long as you remain a virgin. Let's go and ask him, because like your therapist, I can't help you with this deeply personal and private issue that you confided in me because of my feeble woman brain. So yeah, let's go add dear old daddy to the mix and really f up your psychosexual development. Ooh, look at this. This is truly one of the most bonkers scenes. They go out to the dad and he's like all ready to go with a Mr. Rogers type prop. I definitely want to say the symbology for this movie gets a little confusing. She talks about the princess cut diamond and waiting for making the cut, I guess, because they call her their princess. But then he's also talking about the farm and soybeans and how that's related to everything. It's like, just go with one analogy, maybe. Otherwise, you kind of sound like you don't know what you're doing. You're making it up as you go.
I think the answer's been right in front of us all along.
I'm still not quite sure how this is gonna help.
Open it.
Dad, have you been carrying around this seed packet of handwritten adjectives just waiting for my sexual repression to bubble up? Grace is like, Daddy, why does your handwriting match the letter that we get from Santa Claus every year? Oh, great. Now she's never gonna trust another man for her entire life. Which, I mean, actually, not a bad policy. I'm not saying you should never trust another cishet man, although limiting the exceptions to that rule will increase your odds of surviving in the greatest country on earth. Fireworks, fireworks, fireworks. Oh, no, those are gunshots. So, I don't know. The family seems to really not be directly addressing the point where Jared brought her into an apartment and kissed her without her wanting to. I'm not saying the story has to go all the way there, but I want to understand what it signifies. Was she sort of conflicted because her body was telling her yes, but her heart was telling her no? Is she like learning to stand her ground on these things? Like, why did that have to happen for the rest of the movie to continue? Oh well, it continues with her actually breaking up with Jared and him being like, are you kidding me? Oh, we were this close to me touching your lips. Grace also checks out some books on the topic of love, marriage, sex, and Jesus. Cause you know, Dad doesn't know it all. Tell me that's not a creepy sentence that I just said.
I'm sorry I messed up your project. Forgive me?
Of course.
And I'm sorry for chasing you into oncoming traffic about it. Has your undiagnosed head injury festered into a mental health problem yet? I'm just saying, I know that getting hit by that car fixed this kid's list, but that might not be all of the neural changes that God has in store for him. They can't even test for CTE in living people, so probably not all blessings. But enough of that. Grace hits the books and learns about what's going on with her internal conflict. Okay, something a little weird is coming through on the sound design because that laughter sounded eerily familiar. Grace is really putting in the work, taking notes on the things that she's reading. Like, okay, this is really school for you, isn't it? You having fun doing your homework there that you gave yourself, asking why do people get horny? She took out her gel pens and meticulously drew block letters that say, why does God make my tingle? An essay. I can't with her. Oh, we see Tessa at the coffee shop where is like second place they go in this town. And she briefly bumps into Clint at the doorway. And then she sends this weirdly pre-recorded screen recording of her texting Grace to be like, I met the cutest guy ever. I got dibs on him. And Grace is like, you can have him. I'm waiting for the God to plant his soybean inside me or whatever. And Tessa's like, whatever. The Tessa literally doesn't seem to even care about Grace or her religion. She's actually kind of rude about it. Because their tractor is broken, the family has to rely on harvesting these beans by hand if they have any chance at getting their shipment out on time. Luckily, Father Farmer has the help of his 2 sons and a trusty neighbor.
Boys helped me get this crop in, and we'll celebrate by throwing a trap shooting competition.
Hard to pass that one up.
You sarcastic little shit. Oh, that was him being genuine? Well, I still feel like screaming at him in his face, but I think that's just because his flared nostril acting style is reminding me of my community theater days. Violet, you're turning violet, Violet! Name that show. So Clint comes over and they all have fun doing bales of hay things. I'm like, that's not picking soybeans, but whatever. And I guess that's enough for Clint to ask for the parents' blessing to, quote, take our friendship to the next step, him and Grace. I'm like, girl, you need to at least see where she's at on this first. It's so weird to me that you would ask if you can ask out someone's daughter before you ask the daughter, but whatever. Maybe that's how it used to work in the 1940s.
I promised Grace that I would be a part of this journey. She's my daughter, Clint.
Oh, not that lip quiver. Clint's face is saying it all right now. He just realized that he can't even ask to take this girl to Olive Garden without her father literally being moved to tears by the weight of his dadly duties. He's my daughter, Clint. You better not be whisper crying to me on this Sunday. And I wish he would stop restating how much his 20-something daughter wants him along for this journey of her sexual awakening. Like, I didn't hear her say all that. At what point am I allowed to say that Jim is creepy for showing this much interest in his adult daughter's early dating life with some guy? Actually, who cares? I'm just gonna say it now. That's creepier than a crate full of crepe paper, Jim. I get that every culture has their own set of societal expectations, but this family acts like they are sharing a stone hut in the year 35 AD. They're acting like the procreation of the Earth's population depends on a successful marriage here. It doesn't. In fact, it's probably better if you guys stop having babies. Have you even heard of an IUD? Can you stop having little boys? Thank you. So with Grace's father's permission, and mom, I guess, even though she didn't say anything in that scene, now Clint can go back to what I probably would have made the first step and ask the person directly if she wants to continue seeing him.
So peaceful.
It is.
Wait, sorry, Clint, what was that?
It is.
What does mean? Is that really the best Carolina Creek improv you could come up with here? Now we know Clint gets a little dysregulated when he can't immediately find something to mansplain to this woman he likes. She's like, it's so peaceful out here. And he's like, yeah, look at how the 7 swans are swimming. I don't know. Can you just ask your dad if I can put a baby in you? Grace is really impressed. She's like, I'm determined not to do anything without my parents' blessing, which to me is like, okay, so they have you fully brainwashed. So obviously she's thrilled when he's like, I talked to your dad, let's pick out a white dress. Baby, it's a love story, just say yes. That's Taylor Swift. So she says yes, and Clint is uncharacteristically bombastic in his reaction. This is a very stoic character, except for like 2 moments that feel very uncomfortable. Haha! Woo! Is it just me, or are the leading men in this movie being directed to raise their arms over their head in ways that they're not fully committing to? He said, really? You'll go out with me? Like, since when is that how people celebrate? I've never seen it. So these 2 lovebirds, these 30-something 28-year-olds are on their way to marriage. That's the other problem with this movie. The timeline feels a lot more condensed than the dialogue would have you believe. There's no change in the weather. There's no tear-off calendar showing us the passage of time. They could even use like the stages of growing a soybean to kind of illustrate where they are in the year, but they don't. They just show us a few quick scenes of their love growing. Grace is like, aww, even my stupid mother likes you. You can tell by the way Clint looked at those flowers that he thought this was gonna be the funniest, most clever thing he had ever done in his life up until this point. This is his HBO stand-up special. Oh, but they're laughing at everything. The brother goes with them on a mini golf date, cause you gotta have a chaperone. And like every time they putt the ball, he's like, putt. Like, what are you laughing at? A windmill? I don't know. Oh, but here comes bestie Tessie. Is that my bestie? Her name's Tessie? Coming up to the game night door and knocking angrily. Something. She found out something.
So then what are you doing with my guy? The guy from the coffee shop. Who else?
Honestly, I didn't know that he was that guy.
So then prove it. Break up with him.
Really, Tessa? That's your guy? The one who thought you were a door at that little coffee shop. Wow, I'm glad women have this movie to teach them how petty, jealous, and boy crazy they usually are. These are the kind of movies that claim to be like, only God can judge you. However, I talked to God directly and he told me you're a slut. Like, these movies claim like they're not making judgment on other people, but they literally are by positioning the non-religious characters as morally inferior and all around bad people. You can't make a narrative film that isn't biased in some way. Like, you're telling it from the point of view of a religious protagonist. So yeah. The next day, Grace's mom is like, don't give up on your friend. She'll come around, don't worry. And then that lady who made the phone call, the exploratory phone call, shows up at the Andersons' house, even though, why wouldn't you show up at Clint's house? She's like, I am so lost. Do you know where Clint lives? And they're like, oh yeah, he's right here. And they're like, oh, this is an old friend of mine. Her name's Brooke. And she's like, well, I'm gonna go get a hotel. And then everyone can see that this is obviously an ex-girlfriend, but stupid dad is like, why don't you stay with us? And they give her a room in the house. I'd be like, Dad, she's fucking the guy that I'm trying to fuck. Not cool. And this woman, Brooke, seems really out of touch. She's like, you guys cook dinner? Wouldn't you want to go to a restaurant? It's like, wouldn't you want to shut the fuck up? We didn't know you were gonna be here today. You just showed up. Talking about how they're gonna harvest the farm. Grace's dad tells Clint, I don't know who this Brooke woman is, but take care of her.
But I will not have Grace getting hurt. So I'm counting on God to show you how to handle this.
You're right, sir. One of them has to die. I'm pretty sure sometimes this dad thinks he is God. How are you going to submit to God's will and promise your daughter to protect her from pain for her entire life? You didn't even teach your youngest son basic bike safety, and now he's lucky to be alive. But sure, whatever. Helicopter parent when it's the daughter, I guess. So they have Brooke and Clint over to a family meal. I'm like, I feel like Clint could probably spend time with this woman at his own house to figure out why she's here, but whatever. Also, Clint lives alone in that big house. He seems like he could have a woman stay there, but that's not Christian. So many rules, so many childhood sleepover rules apply to adults if you believe in God, I guess. Anyway, after saying grace, the family and their new visitor sits down to a meal where the first course is 30 seconds of indistinct simultaneous talking.
Grace made cornbread?
Very fine cook.
She is a fine cook.
Oh, she's got a great teacher.
We teach them well.
Yeah.
Yeah, about that front window that I see is out there.
Watermelon, watermelon. Cornbread, porch swing, country time lemonade. We got it? Do we have the take? Oh, so they're talking about how once they successfully harvest the bean harvest, they're gonna have a harvest festival where they share their wealth with the whole community.
So you give it all away?
Not all of it, but if God has blessed us with so much, we should use it to bless others.
What a strange idea.
Okay, this is Brooke's first time ever even hearing about the concept of charity. So maybe she's not the best type of person to invite to your giant soybean feast at the end of the harvest. She's probably too busy to come anyway, taking her birth control pills. Ugh. Brooke follows Clint when he steps out to take a secret phone call, and she's like, I thought we could talk. And he's like, listen, Brooke, we're over. I think it's weird that you even followed me out here unannounced. Like, what are you doing? And the underlying thing here is that she doesn't have his best interests at heart. Maybe she's just interested in him now because he finished law school and she's after money. But regardless, she really broke his heart. She abandoned the engagement after he had promised to give the family wedding ring that's been in the family for weddings and weddings. And so when she ran out on him, he decided to bury that ring in the topsoil and just keep it underground until he met the right woman. That to me does not seem like a smart thing to do with precious valuables, but I think they're trying to make it sound like a soybean, planting things until you reap what you sow. Okay, so the family is harvesting the beans and then they hear something coming in the distance. This should have been a fake out. I wish that Grace was like, I don't know where Clint is. He must have run off with that random blonde slut. Like a fake out that he's not gonna show up. And then here he comes heroically over the horizon with the brand new fixed tractor.
How'd you get it right?
My buddy Mike works wonders with engines, so I asked him to give it a shot.
Then we stole your keys, broke into your barn last night, and then after it was fixed, I figured out how to operate this specialized piece of farm equipment, even though I'm a doctor of some sort. Jim Anderson's whole farm was on the verge of bankruptcy because he didn't have the parts to fix this engine. A conflict that now seems even more unlikely and stupid because Clint fixed the issue with one well-placed phone call. Kinda just makes Jim seem like a bad business person, right? Anyway, the harvest is done and all the folksy town people are here for the festival, including Tessa, who, as predicted by the gourd Jesus, my gourd Jesus Christ, she comes up and apologizes for blowing the coffee shop thing out of proportion. Again, this character was never redeemable enough to even warrant this sort of makeup.
Forgive me?
Of course. Clint just better have a brother.
He has several actually, and they're all convicted sex offenders, but I'm trying not to take that on as a red flag. So, good to see you, sis. Love you, girly. There's nothing I love more than a sparsely attended crowd scene with real non-actors serving as extras. Listen to this Walla Walla in the background.
Let me tell you about my home.
I swear, I'm not trying to be gross, but to me, it really sounds like they cut to that farmer right as he says, "Let me tell you about my hole."
Let me tell you about my home.
You told me all about your whole last harvest festival, Uncle Dan, and I had to miss 2 weeks of school afterwards just trying to recover. Let me tell you about my hole. That's the Christmas tradition at the Anderson house. Okay, the fun country time activity that they do is like skeet shooting, so the whole town is watching that. The sexist dynamic between men and women in this movie is truly astonishing.
How'd you learn to shoot like that?
I guess living in the country has its perks.
How'd you learn to shoot like that?
I've shot a time or two. You know, if you want me to, I can give you a few pointers.
Why would she need pointers? You just saw her be good at this too, and she's been doing it longer than you. You, Clint. Don't mansplain guns to Grace. There's nothing you can teach her about a rifle that she didn't already learn by accidentally shooting her older sister at age 5. They figured everyone was young enough to just kind of move on without talking about her again. It's fine. All of a sudden, stupid Jared, the no good ex-boyfriend, comes up and starts talking / flirting with Brooke. And that's when they both get in on the plan to kind of sabotage this relationship. Because that will mean that Jared gets Grace and Brooke can have Clint, these names. So somehow Jared separates Grace and starts like accosting her.
Let go of me.
Hey, leave her alone.
How romantic.
Oh, of course, the jealous ex has fully transformed into Cruella de Vil, just in time for the climax. Great. You really thought that was romantic, Brooke? The way Clint meekly yelled from off screen?
Hey, leave her alone!
Seems like we probably should have got some coverage of his heroic entrance there, or, you know, maybe seen Brooke's face while she was talking, but we don't have the time left in the shooting schedule to make the climax exciting. Except for this, some shovel dancing. Ah, sweet. You can tell these guys have experience with fight choreography. Were you both in the same production of Pirates of Penzance last summer? Also, you know Grace is in the corner like, Jared, Clint, stop fighting over me. Unless it's like part of God's plan or whatever. Jared went from wanting a girlfriend to attempted murder with a shovel. He's like bashing the spot where Clint's head used to be. What is with this like, you dodged a big bullet, Grace. And the back of a shovel, apparently. Finally, Dad, aka God, comes in and banishes the non-believers from his kingdom of soy. And I guess we get to live happily ever after. Oh no, Clint sort of runs off after getting rid of Brooke, and I guess a few weeks go by where she doesn't hear from him, so she writes a letter being like, I am going to be satisfied in the Lord whether we end up together or not, and I'm just grateful that you were such a great friend who taught me about waiting for the seeds to be planted and growing to become who I am. So it's really all about like, you were just a great friend to me and I really appreciate that. Which in a way I like. It's like, okay, yeah, how men and women can be just friends until, you know, they want more, but she wants more. Anyway, it's time for a final picnic or whatever.
The lovely young woman you've become. I'm very proud of you.
What makes you say that?
Uh-oh, I think they're about to have her put down because she hasn't found a husband by age 22. Run, Grace, use either one of your brothers as a human shield and make for the woods. But really, Mom's just emotional because she knows something big's about to happen. They get to the farm, I guess, and there's Clint, and he proposes. And then everyone's happy. They sit down to a meal. And then the family gathers around to watch their post-engagement coitus. I'm just kidding. It jumps ahead in time to where Grace looks a little older with a lipstick.
Wherever you go, I'm home.
And you know what? I've even gotten used to the daily ghost sightings of my sister who I accidentally killed as a child. It's like we have a kid but without any of the cleanup. And that's all that was in God's plan for Princess Cut, a movie very tenuously connected to its Princess Cut Diamond title, because again, the ring seems to be not what's important here, but I guess that's the message. The real important thing is soybeans. What do you think about this sexist soy-based movie? Let me know in the comments below. Are there other TikTok religious movies or Pureflix movies we should cover here on the channel? Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see more just like it. But most importantly, if you're new to my channel, I would love to have you click that subscribe button right down here. That way you never miss new videos from me. I upload 2 new ones every week, so turn on notifications and you'll always be the first to know when I'm hitting you in the bike with my truck. Also, I've got merch available and a Patreon where you can access exclusive bonus episodes, virtual watch parties, and more. You guys are all the greatest. Thank you for Princess cutting into my hole with me today. I will see you next time.